In this section of the video, we are going to be discussing how we're going to be doing the hood PPF. And this can be a lot of fun because it is a giant piece. It's roughly about 60 inch by 48. This piece actually covers around most of the edges. The only areas that it really doesn't cover is going to be the corners because it is a sharp corner and doesn't go over that. But other than that, it does full protection all around that. It also does go over the logos, so you don't have to worry about removing this when you're installing. So let's talk about the overview and the plan. And you can follow with me using the quick reference guide that we provide in this kit. So this hood, once we lay it down, and that's part of the challenge, first we're going to tack the number 1 over there in that corner. And then next, on number 2, we're going to tack the other side. And then lastly, we are going to tack the middle right here, right by the logo or around the logo. And then after those 3 points are tacked, you're going to move all that water. You're going to split it in half and go up, and that's number 4. And then we're going to split this into 4 quadrants. So we're going to split it right here, and then after that, the rest of it is just getting all the water out of the hood. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to let it dry for at least an hour or 2 and let the edges dry. And then once we do that, we're going to come back to it. And you can move on to the next module if you want and come back here to this section of the video. And after, we're going to fold over all the edges. That way, all the edges right here is also protected. So before we get started, a couple things. If you haven't, make sure you refill and you remix your solution. If you've been just doing the fender, you're going to be using a lot of slip solution in this area. So make sure you have a full bottle before you get started. The next thing is, I know we've done prep. However, just a reminder that you want to make sure you get the edges since we are wrapping around the edges. So go ahead and grab your phone. You're going to open up your frunk. And once you open up the frunk, you're going to go ahead and grab a clean microfiber. And then grab your tack solution since it's alcohol. You're going to go ahead and do what we did with edge prep. Grab microfiber and go around all the edges, including the front, back, and everywhere. We want to keep this frunk open, but not like this. But you're going to grab the slip container and you're going to put it right where the latch is. And you're just going to put it down. The reason why we do this is because since this goes over the edges, it's going to go a little bit past that. And if it's right flush against the other panels, what's going to do is it's going to stick to those areas. So by doing this and raising that edge, right, it allows you to be able to have those edges dry out a lot better. Now that we're all ready to go, that's really it. We're going to go get the piece and we're going to show you how you can peel it and get it ready to put on the hood. So just make sure you have the right piece. It's hood PPF. I like saving the sticker for later. You're going to go ahead and unravel the piece. Okay? And once I start unraveling, if you have a bigger table, I'd highly recommend having a bigger table. But once you start unraveling, you'll see a couple things. One, you actually have an arrow piece just like that. And the reason why we do this is so you know where to start weeding from. So you can see that there's a cutout, a circular cutout, so you can literally just peel, and it'll be really, really easy to do that. So before we get started, another reminder, you're going to go ahead and wet your fingers, and you're going to go ahead and spray the area. And what we're going to do, just a plan of attack, is we're going to peel all the way to the half point or as far as you can go. And right now, since my table isn't big, I have my tack solution there to hold it from falling. You don't want to drop it. So we're going to go ahead and do just that. And as I'm peeling, I'm just making sure that I'm spraying enough slip solution. Okay, so that's exactly what you're going to be doing. So go ahead and peel all the way. And what we're doing is, if you don't do this step, everything's going to want to stick to each other. Okay, so I'm going to reposition myself a little bit. And I'm going to go this way, sideways, because it'll be a lot easier for me to do this. And once you get to that point, you are going to just lay it back down like so. And again, since I do have a smaller table, I'm having to turn this around. So now that we're on the other side, you can see that I have my little dot there as well. And we're going to be doing the exact same thing that we did. Make sure you're spraying enough slip solution. And as you go, cool. And you notice once you don't want to pull too much in that little tail or that corner. I'm going to go ahead and start peeling this area. Cool. We're going to keep going all the way. And I'm being generous with the slip solution, right? If you don't spray enough, it's going to want to stick to each other. So we're going to continue. We're not going to put it on the ground, but we are going to continue to just slide it down so I have a little bit more room. And you guys can see as I continue to peel this area. So I'm going to go ahead and unravel it all the way here. And again, this is if you are doing this alone, you're going to hold this down, just peel all of this area. I'll place it back down. Go ahead and spray this area as well. And you notice that's where the T logo is. So I know that's my center right there. So we're going to go ahead and go all the way to that. And we are solid. We're down to the middle part. And I'm happy. And I got this nice and wet all the way throughout, and so on. Okay, we're going to continue to fold this area. You can see that this is a process, and again, if you have a bigger table, you don't have to do one side of, you don't have to keep folding and so on. This is just more for demonstration. And you can see that everything is wet, and now that everything is wet, you don't run the risk of it from, I guess, sticking to each other, and that's going to be your number one thing. So now that we're set, we're going to get the hood ready, and that way we can place it on the hood. Before we get started, we want to make sure that we get all of this ready to go. And we're going to do what we do in all the panels that we've done, right? We're going to make sure last minute, just making sure that every single, I guess, contaminant is off the surface. I'm going to go ahead and spray my 3L. And what you're going to do is just from the middle, just go down. Again, what this process does is it just makes sure that you're getting that last minute contaminants off the vehicle, okay? You're gonna go to the other side. You could either do that or you could also go this way. It's easier. Great. And now that that's ready, you're going to go ahead and spray again. And you want to spray a lot, okay? You want to spray a lot of slip. You really get that corner as well. Really get that middle. And you want it nice and sudsy. And before you get started, you just want to make sure that you have your fingers nice and wet. And for this, we are going to be using the 3L and then the 2L, right? You have smaller versions too, if you'd like, so just keep that in mind, okay? Let's go ahead and grab the piece. You're gonna be grabbing both sides. So you have this side over here, and then you're gonna grab the other side that's already has slip solution. And you're just gonna hold these 2 points, and then you're gonna grab it, okay? One thing when you are doing this is you don't wanna grab it and face the inside like that. You actually want to grab it from this side, grab it here, and face the outer part. And the reason being is you could run the risk of it actually touching your shirt, and your shirt may have a lot of dirt or other contamination. So we're gonna go ahead and grab both corners so you can see, and you're gonna go away from your body just like that. And this is already all slipped, and we're just gonna grab it and then place it on the hood. So we're gonna go ahead and make sure you're still spraying a lot as you place it down. You can notice that it's not in the right places, but that's okay because we're just trying to lay it down, and that's really the goal in this portion, right? So everything is flat. There is and what you want to do is you want to avoid, and this is the reason why we clean all around areas, because sometimes it's hard to control the material from hitting areas, but you don't want to hit the glass or the windshield. So we're going to try to now start aligning things just a tad bit. We're going to go ahead and align that kind of loosely. Go ahead and align your logo right here, the T logo. And we're going to try to get rid of some of those fingers. Okay? And as we go around, what we're doing is we're just getting rid of this big bubbles like that. Okay? So you're just going to use your hand, just going to gently kind of move these bubbles to the exterior. Okay? There you go, that big bubble. That's the last big bubble I have. So very happy with that. You can see I was continuously spraying, and you want to keep it wet underneath. So let's go ahead and check this alignment right here. That looks fantastic right there. Again, don't worry about it just yet. And then we're going to go ahead and move. So we're going to start moving that middle. I feel very good. And you're just going to be moving all of the area. And you can see that it has no problem moving. And that means that I have a good amount of slip solution underneath. And I feel very happy about that. And that is fantastic. So same thing on this side. I'm doing the same thing. So I have this loosely lined up. For this section, I will be using the 2L or the 2S. And the reason why is I'm going to be tacking that corner, and I like using these areas to get around the logos as well. So that's kind of why I'm using my angled. So let's go ahead and look at this corner. And here is the alignment right here. Just like we did in the previous modules, it's going to be inside, right? All the other edges actually wrap around, but this, for longevity, it's a lot better because it's really hard to get around that rough corner right here. So you can see that's well within that boundary. I'm very happy with that. You're just going to let it go once you have it aligned. I'll just show you what's not good. This isn't good. This isn't good. That isn't good, right? It doesn't look good. So this is what you're looking for right there inside that line, right? But just enough margin. Once you're happy, you're going to grab your tack solution, and you're going to go ahead and spray that corner. And again, what you're doing is you're flushing out the slip solution that's there, and this activates that adhesive. So I'm just going to hold it down, and what you want to do is just hold it for about 5 to 10 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very happy with it. Now I'm going to grab my squeegee, and I'm going to gently get all the slip and tack out of that corner. You can see how useful that little corner is, especially in areas like here. And I'm just going to go ahead and tack that area. So again, this is number 1 section, and I'm very happy with how it tacked. And we are doing the push method right here. Cool. You can see that it's not moving right here because we've tacked it. Let's go to the other side. We're going to do the same. You're going to be looking at this portion. So this is number 2. So we're going to align it exactly how I want. Notice I'm still using my palm technique, and I'm not moving here. I'm just moving it from away from that and then just trying to put it into place. I feel really good about that alignment right there. It's still inside. Just another reminder, you don't want it over like this, or you don't want it too far away. So this is the ideal right about there. So I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and flush all of this slip solution, put it into place. And once you're happy, what I like to do is I just hold it right there for about 5 seconds to 10. I can already see it's starting to tack. I'm going to grab my angled squeegee, and we're going to go ahead and squeegee this corner down as well. And you don't need a lot of force, right? And you don't want to, because especially the alcohol or the tack solution that you have is actually helping you there, right? So I'm doing a lot of pushing all that, especially just be gentle in that the tail cornered. And after that, that part is tacked. So lastly, let's get to the next section. As we're doing this, don't forget to have solution on top, because this is what's gonna help the squeegee to glide through, right? And again, as we're doing this, I'm still checking. I'm checking for any dry spots right here. And the way logo is gonna be, is it's gonna have a little bit of, edge right here, because it's gonna fold over that. But this actually looks really good. The margins are even across all parts of the logo. You're gonna be tacking all of this area. So to do that, you're gonna go ahead and just lift this up gently. And again, you're just trying to flush the slip solution out of that area. And you're just going to be gently going towards that. You're just going to gently go around the logo. And you're going to be doing the same thing here. And gently move. And I love using this angled one. And then we're going to go away. Like so. And then we're going to do the same thing on top. We're going to use the angle. We're going to use the push technique over here. We're going to just slowly move water into the logo area. Cool. There we go. So I've made a little square around this area, and I've been overlapping quite a bit. So we should be good. Just gonna make sure that all moisture is out in this area. So now that we have the 3 tack points, 1, 2, and 3, we're gonna actually switch a squeegee. Instead of using the angled one, we're gonna put this aside and we're gonna be using the big boy. This is a 3L. You can use a smaller one if you prefer, but I love holding this because you could hold it with your 4 fingers and either pull or even push this way. So it's a great squeegee to have. Don't forget to spray on top, and this time, this is gonna be the number 4 section. And what you wanna do is, first of all, just make sure that everything is aligned. One thing to check is you wanna check for this. This little area has a little flap just like this because there is a big curve here. So in order to have a relief area, there's a cut. So you don't want it over like this, right? Or you don't want it too overboard. So this aligns really, really good. We're gonna go ahead and check the other side as well. You can see on this side, it's a little bit further down. All you have to do, since we haven't tacked, is just move the material slightly across the top. And you can see once I did that, it's right by the edge. I feel very, very happy with the alignment over there. And now that we are, we're gonna grab this squeegee and we're just gonna push all the way up from the middle, away from the tack point. And you're just gonna go all the way up. About 3 strokes. And then I'm gonna do that again. I'm gonna go ahead and spray some slip solution on top. So I have some smooth surface. I'm gonna go here, 2, and 3. And if you look at the reference guide, you can see that we're gonna now split it into 4 corners. And what we're gonna do is from here, you're gonna grab with 2 hands, you're gonna pull, just like so. Before you do that, it's really good practice to, again, double check this. And if it's not, you can still move it a little bit across that area. This looks really good. I'm happy with that quadrant. And then this, I believe, is number 6. You're just gonna make sure that everything looks good over here. Try to disperse some of this out. This looks fantastic still. And we're gonna go ahead and pull. Pull. Again, you can use 2 hands like this. Awesome. So now that we have it in 4, you're gonna go ahead and spray on top again, right? So it doesn't stop. And you're going to be pulling towards you. And then you see I stopped and I go all the way out, get the water out. And then once you get to this is 9, I believe. Sorry, this is 8. And here, you don't want to actually put it back where you actually tacked. So instead, you're going to move the water actually away from that. And then this one, you can exit this way by a pull technique. And then we're going to go ahead and get the rest of this off with a push technique. Awesome. So very happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and do that one more time just to make sure that I got all the bubbles. So I'm going to go ahead and use my two-hand technique. Go ahead and exit out. Go away from the tack point and go ahead and go up. There you go. Now we already have slip solution on top, and this is the same concept, but this time we're going to grab this area and then we're going to grab that area. And you can see the alignment is still perfect right there. So very happy. I'm going to go ahead and continue to pull. And as I get here, make sure you're doing that 50% overlap. There you go. And then away from that logo, you can see, there you go, away from the logo. And then I kind of go a little bit more diagonal angle and then get the water out. And this is why it's so important to have this propped up like this, because if you don't and it's right here, the water is just going to stay. Whereas right now, you're seeing it release. Let's go ahead and do the same thing. I like just making sure that I got all bubbles out. We're going to do the exact same thing. 2, 3, 4. There you go. Let's go ahead and exit. And then from the logo, just like that, we're going to go ahead and exit out. Very, very happy about that. Awesome. So this process is going to be exactly the same as you did on that side. We're going to start from top here, and we're going to go ahead and spray slip solution. Use two hands. Make sure you're overlapping. There we go. And if this happens, that's not a problem at all. Just going to move it with your hands and go ahead and get it all squeegeed out. You have tack right over here, so you don't want to bring back the water towards that. All you're going to do is push away from that point, and let's get all the water from the back. Awesome. Like always, go over it one more time. Go ahead and spray some slip solution on top. We're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing. Exit out. Then from here, you can go away from that and then get all the water out of that. In the last section, guys, we're going to go ahead and make sure we have enough slip solution on top. And we're going to go ahead and do the pull technique. And notice how I don't go all the way. I like kind of doing it little by little so I can see what I'm actually doing. Let's get all that slip solution under out. And then you're going to go out and then go down into that quarter. Satisfying watching this as you, I guess, get some of that slip solution underneath out. So we're going to do the same thing. And then away. Before we get into this one, I just want to inspect, and this is a really important process. You're going to have a microfiber, and you got to make sure, recommended to fold into fourth like this. And you're just going to wipe down, be careful in those areas, but you're just going to wipe it down. And this is your opportunity. Just make sure that there are no bubbles before you move on, right? So we're just going to wipe down all these areas, right? Because we're going to be sealing the edge afterwards. So when you wipe it down, you're going to look at different angles, and you're going to be inspecting your bubbles. Try to look against the light, and when you do that, you may find a thing or two. Let's say you did find a bubble right over here, and there's a big one. One thing is, again, a reminder, if it's smaller than a nickel size, most likely it'll dry, it'll dissipate, so I wouldn't touch that. But let's say it was a big one. The key thing in here is make sure you spray a lot of slip solution around that area that you're going to be squeegeeing. And the next thing is not to go towards the tack point again, because if you do that, it will get trapped. And then what you want to do, instead of pushing, you want to pull. And you're going to go fast, and you're just going to do that. And most of the time, what's going to happen is that force, when you're pulling, is going to get the water and the slip solution underneath out if you do that. And try to keep it as even. I like using my two hand. So that's how you get rid of it. So now that we've tackled that, let's go ahead and start sealing the edges. I feel very good about this. There's a couple fingers that we're going to have to get rid of. Let's go ahead and start tackling this since I'm right here. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my number 2L. So if you have wrinkles like this, the first step is to make sure you're spraying on top before you start tackling it. And what you want to do is tackle one wrinkle at a time. A lot of times people just directly go really fast like this, and you don't want to do that. You actually want to go in an angle like this. And as you're doing this, here's what you want to do. Here's the secret trick. You want to spray tack solution underneath, like so. You want to spray some tack over here into those wrinkles. And then you're going to go ahead and just go at it in an angle like this. And as you get to the end, just going to hold that down. And you can see already that you are able to get the finger out. When you have a persistent finger like that, just kind of hold it there, go at an angle, just hold it. Awesome. Let's go ahead and get this out as well. Don't forget to spray slip solution on top. We're going to go ahead and go at an angle like so. Go ahead and spray some. And we're going to go ahead and tackle that or hit that at an angle like so. Okay, now we're going to be pushing. Okay, going away because that was a tack point. Awesome. So you're going to have a few. I got another one right there. And you're going to go ahead and get the rest of that. So I'm going to do the same thing. There's some areas right here that's persistent. That's okay. And go ahead and do the same thing. Awesome. Sweet. And the goal is that you don't have any of those before we let it dry. All right, so we have a couple more areas. I'm spraying tack solution first, and then after that, I can go out of this area, like so. I got one small one right here. I'm gonna go ahead and spray some tack. And lastly, we got just a few more fingers over here, or wrinkles. Let's go ahead and tackle this one. Just spray some alcohol right there. Just fold over. And I got that. Look at that. Easy peasy. So same thing over here. Go ahead and put some alcohol in that area. And then hit it at an angle. Just let squeegee do its job. It helps when you're holding it just down like that, the good amount of force, and that makes sure that really sticks. So same thing over here. If it's not going out, just kind of fold over that edge, and there you go. We've already done the inspection over here, but I'm going to inspect it one more time before I move on to drying process. Like I mentioned, some areas like here are going to be a little bit persistent. So just what I like to do is I just leave that tack solution just a tad long. And then after that, I just hold that down and hold it for a couple seconds. And that went down perfectly. Got one last finger, and then I'm ready to move on. I'm glad I'm able to show you some of the troubleshooting that happens in PPF. And for you, this might not happen, but it may happen, so I think it's important to show you this. Awesome. So now that we are done and your edges are good, what you want to do is you are going to lift up. Just be careful. And you're going to lift up your hood. And the reason why we're doing this is because of gravity, right? If we hold it up like this, we're letting the slip solution slide down, including the back. So you're going to grab your tack solution, and you're going to go ahead from the middle and spray. And we're going to flush all that slip solution with the tack across the edges. You're going to be doing the same thing on the other side. Get all the edges. And then now for the back. Just like that. Once you spray all the edges with tack solution and you're flushing all that slip solution out, what you want to do is you want to wait at least 1 to 2 hours. And what that'll do is this will dry out, and then later down the line, we're going to grab the squeegee, and then using your hands, you're going to fold over the edges. But if you want to, you can move on to the next areas. You can leave your car like this, and then move on to the next module. Now that it's been about 1 to 2 hours, we're going to make sure that we fold over the edges. And before you do that, the first thing that you want to do is you're going to inspect it one more time. And what you're inspecting for is moisture along those edges. Moisture likes staying on those edges right here, so you just want to make sure. And if you see any, all we have to do is spray some slip solution, and you can still get it out and make sure it settles. So now I'm looking at all the edges right now, and it looks fantastic. I don't see any moisture in the middle and also the edges. So I feel very, very happy about that. So I'm going to go ahead and start. So the first thing that you want to do is actually, I'm going to do it with a towel, but I just wanted to show you how it looks like so you kind of get a gist of it. And you're going to use your thumb, and you're going to roll over little by little incrementally. Don't go all the way. And the way we're doing that, reason why we're doing that is we're just making sure that there are no air bubbles when we're doing this. So you're going to go ahead and use your fingers like that. So if we had a microfiber, what I like to do is make sure it's dry, and you're just going to be using your thumb like that, and we're going over the edges until it lays down. So you can see it right here. Once you get to the end, it's fully over the edge like that. And then you could, once it folds over like this, you can kind of see right here it ripples. That's when you can start putting it down. So before you get to that notch, because there is a notch right here, and I like using the microfiber, but you don't necessarily have to, but you're going to get right to that notch, that first notch right here, and you're going to keep doing that until you get to the end, and we're going to go ahead and fold over those edges. Let's go ahead and finish this area. So you can see, just again, just to show you that. And because it's dried, it's actually sticking. It's a little bit more adhesive. So we're going to go ahead and go all the way. And notice, even when I'm at the end, I'm just going side to side. I'm just incrementally pushing it down. And this makes sure that none of those fingers stay and it's flat on your hood. Now that we have this done, all we have to do is go around all the edges. And we're going to go ahead and finish that. The key to this part is just being patient. So instead of trying to bring it all down all at once, you're, again, going very, very slowly, especially along that edge right here, because there's a lot more curves there. So it's getting a little bit more challenging. So I already have the other side done, but I'm going to go ahead and show you here. This is the same thing. This is actually an easier side, mainly because it's just flatter. But I'm still going to do half here and then half down there. So I'm going to go ahead and just gently and incrementally just bring down this area. You can see as I get closer, I can start really folding that over. This is where the notch meets right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just even slower. So you can see as I get here, going side to side, and once I do that, it's flat. There's no wrinkles whatsoever. Now that I've done the top part, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. It's all about being incremental right over here. I think a lot of people try to do it too fast. So this is where you want to go a little slower. Let's do little by little. So we're going to continue doing this. And you can see that flans out really, really easy. It's folding over the edges like so. And as I get here, I'll just use my finger and just slowly wrap that around. And my edge is now sealed. Awesome. Don't forget the back part. I actually already did the other side, but I'm going to show you right here. So you can see back here where I actually folded over and then where I didn't. But the main thing about this is there's about 1/4 inch of, I guess, excess material that'll fold over. So it's going to be the same technique all the way throughout. You're just going to go slowly, just like that. And you can use a towel if you're comfortable, and it makes it slide a little easier. But make sure it's dry, not wet towel, right? And then you're just going to continue to fold over using your thumb or your finger. Okay, so I'm going to get to the edge right here. Awesome. And this is why we do edge prep, right? If you did not do edge prep or you didn't put alcohol on it, this is where it gets hard, right? It doesn't stick very well because there's a lot of contamination. So if you do that prep really well, all of this will go down just as easy as it did in this video. So now that we got all the edges sealed and it is protected, you're pretty much done. You're more than welcome to close the hood.